These world tour videos are really, really fun, and normally I would start them with a quote from the Kingdom Hearts Ultimania story up to Kingdom Hearts 3, but Deep Jungle's not in it. For, I assume very complicated licensing and rights reasons. But I skimmed through my Kingdom Hearts Ultimania, and while it's listed in the table of contents, it's not actually in there. The omission of it is understandable, but I don't understand why it's in the table of contents, and on the Chapter 2 page that talks about worlds, it's listed in a list of worlds in that chapter, but then if you go flipping through the book, it's just not there. That's a little confusing. So this one is not going to have an opening quote of any kind. However, I love Deep Jungle. It's one of my favorite worlds. I'm very disappointed that, its complicated rights situation has prevented it from showing up in any other Kingdom Hearts game. This largely stems from my love of the Tarzan Disney film. But anyways, we'll cut right to the chase with this one, and we'll get right into it. Hope you enjoy. Okay, welcome to the Deep Jungle World Tour. I figured we'd start here in the camp, because the camp really serves as sort of your base of operations or your central hub for the world of Deep Jungle, obviously themed off of the Disney movie Tarzan, which is one of my favorite movies, and this may shock you, but this is my favorite world in Kingdom Hearts 1 and is actually one of my favorite worlds in the entire Kingdom Hearts franchise. So, I know, controversial take, but it is what it is. Anyways, we're going to start right here in the tent. Obviously in the tent you got a save point right here. This is where you watch the slides with Tarzan early in the game, early in your run through Deep Jungle. Jane is normally always found here in the tent post-game. I think the only time she's not found in the tent is during the story of Deep Jungle when her and Turk get abducted. There's really not much in the tent, but I mean, what can you expect? They're sort of like on a safari expedition here looking for gorillas and whatnot. Let's see. We can look around here. Here's a map of Africa. Let me back up a little bit because you can't move the camera around in the tent unless you go into first-person view. So this gives us a better look at what's actually here in the tent. So we got a map of Africa. So, I mean, obviously, since the Tarzan movie takes place in, like, the real world, and, like, on planet Earth, our planet Earth, more or less, it has an actual map of Africa there. So, candlelit lantern. That green thing looks like maybe it's a canteen of some sort. Another lantern's not lit. A clock with some boots hanging off of it. I'm not sure what's hanging that clock there, though. Because, I mean, this tent's just made out of, like, cloth or, like, canvas. So, I'm not sure what's holding that heavy clock right there. Looks like it's 3 o'clock on the clock. And that probably never changes. So, the clock could be dead. I don't know. A little stool, or maybe it's a footrest. I'm not sure. There's a giant talking duck. Over here, it looks like there's a little green vase on a pedestal. I'm not really sure why they brought this with them. I'm not sure what purpose this serves. Maybe it can hold some water or something. It's the screen that they project the slides on for Tarzan. It's got 2 lit candle lanterns on both sides. Here's the projector. The projector that she uses. Looks like it's being propped up with a little book because maybe the pedestal that she has it set on isn't quite high enough for it to be dead on with the projector screen. So she's got it slightly propped up with a little book. It's another little ottoman footrest thing, a little chair. And a table full of books. Obviously, Jane is probably well read, as well as her father, even though her father does not make an appearance in... is it her father or grandfather? I don't remember. Despite Tarzan being one of my favorite movies, it's been a long time since I've seen it. It's either her father or grandfather, but I don't remember which one is in the movie. But either way, He's not in the game, obviously. It's a bunch of books. Probably can't actually see what they have written on them. It's hard to tell. I can jump, but I can't land on anything to get a better view of the book, so I can't really tell what any of them say. Obviously, here's Jane. Like I said, she's always in here. Oh, and there's a little pot vase right here. Looks like for supports they're using bamboo in the tent. But that's enough of the tent. Let's head outside into base camp. Alright. You can climb this pole. I think it's a flag pole. You can climb this. So I've just got the English flag. As seen in Tarzan. Also, obviously, this is where you find recipe card 2. And there's recipe cards and research notes all around the camp. Let's look at the entrance. Got 2 supports at the entranceway with a little lantern, I guess, you know, for when it becomes nighttime. Got a little record player. Who knows what music is actually on it? You can hit it and it shrinks down. It's also where you find research note 3. Here is the globe. You see Australia there. Can you hit it? Yeah, you can hit it and it spins around. And it doesn't land on the exact same spot, so that's actually kind of cool. Obviously, it's our planet Earth, or at least supposed to be. This is where you find research note 2. They got a whole stack of luggage over here. Because obviously in this small little tent, where do you put it? I did notice there's like no beds in the tent. Even though 3 people, in the movie 3 people came on this expedition, we only see 2 of the people that came on this expedition in the game. That being Clayton and Jane herself. But I didn't see any beds. So I'm not sure where they sleep. Yeah, I'm not really sure where they sleep. Let's see over here. They have all this set up with coverings over it, I guess, so their stuff doesn't get wet if it rains. Though, I'm not sure how effective. This looks like a canvas of some sort, so it's probably going to soak up water and it's just going to drip through anyways, assuming it doesn't collapse in under the weight of water, because it doesn't look tilted in any way, so the water's not going to drain off the back. Looks like a dresser over here. Some more luggage, crates. A little vanity station. I don't know why she doesn't have this in the tent. Does she come over here to like do her hair so that she looks nice for the gorillas? Not sure about that. It's a big chest, probably got more clothes in it, or maybe even some scientific gear. This probably has, the crates I imagine probably belong to Clayton. Might have ammo, weapons in them. Some drawers. That is the ugliest set of drawers I've ever seen. Another chest, or suitcase luggage. Looks like some sort of chest over here. Obviously, they had to have come with a crew to unload all this. 2 or 3 people couldn't unload all of this by themselves, especially if the canon in the game is that her father and or grandfather, I can't remember who it is, came with them and he's just never seen in the game. You know, it certainly wasn't a woman and an elderly person unloading all this. Some of this stuff's probably very heavy and Clayton couldn't do it by himself. So the crew that picks them up in the movie probably helped them unload all this stuff. But it would seem in the game canon for Kingdom Hearts, it might just be Jane and Clayton. I'm entirely unsure about that. Though I can't remember if she mentions, you know, the third person or not. A little telescope, I guess, for stargazing. So they can watch the night sky above Africa. There's an interactive barrel. You can lift it, you can throw it, you can hit it. And little health orbs come out. Obviously, where they hang their clothes, even though Jane's only ever seen wearing a few different outfits. Like 2, I think. Her tank top outfit and her yellow dress. In the movie, at least. Little pan. This is probably where they wash the clothes. And they probably sit right there on that little stool. Wash their clothes in water right here. And then hang them up here on the clothesline to dry. There's a large clock over here. This clock looks like it actually works. That clock is telling a different time than the one that's in the tent. I'm now curious if the tent's time changes at all. Probably not. It is not. It is permanently 3 o'clock, so they have 2 different clocks displaying 2 different times. And I'm going to assume this is the right one because it looks like it's actually working. But that's got to be confusing. It's where you find recipe card number 1. You can hit it and it ticks a little bit faster. Some package here. It looks like it's wrapped up. Looks like it could have been a gift, but I don't know. Maybe there's food in there or something. I'm not sure. They got a little teapot set. Obviously a Beauty and the Beast reference. Mrs. Potts. A bunch of little cups that look like Chip, but I don't think any of them are Chip because he's not chipped. Yeah, none of them are cracked. So it's just Mrs. Potts. Obviously, like I said, a Beauty and the Beast reference. The spoons are actually 3D. I thought they might have just been like 2D on the table. What is this here? Lemon slices? Looks like lemon slices. They got some lemon slices right there next to their little tea set. I'm assuming it's tea. They are British. Some more books laying over here next to this massive stack of luggage. Definitely can't read what is on the books. Massive stack of crates and luggage. I can only imagine what's in here. Scientific equipment, guns, ammo, perhaps. Food, rations, maybe. I'm going to assume they probably brought a lot of food so they could survive. You have a little science set, a little chemistry set over here. This is where you can use the research notes that you find in the camp. Need information. So, okay, so I've said before, this isn't my save. I lost my 100% save, so I had to download a save from somebody else, and it looks like they never did this. See, research note 2 was there. I think the other research note was over here in the clothing. Yeah, research note 1 is where you find the clothing. You can make the clothes shake if you hit the clothesline. So once you have all the research notes, you know, you can come over here, required notes found starting the experiment. The potion was put in. After putting in the ingredient, ice it. So then you gotta hit it with some ice, conducting a replication, and then boom, you make a ether. 2 ethers, actually. But yeah, I'm surprised that the person who saved this originally belonged to didn't do that. But these are the types of things I hope come back in Kingdom Hearts 4. Little world interactions. This really cool in Kingdom Hearts 1. That you have these little things. They don't amount to much, like some basic items or whatever, but it's still neat that the world is a bit more interactive. Lots of, like, beakers and little vials over here at this chemistry set. Looks like a little thing with, I don't know, maybe some liquid nitrogen or something in it. Dry ice, I don't know. I don't know what they could be doing right there. A little typewriter. With obviously illegible nonsense on it. A model of the solar system, I'm guessing. Not a very well done one in terms of the detail. All the orbs look the same. I don't think these size comparisons are accurate either, so... obviously some rolled up papers, maybe schematics or scientific notes, chemistry notes or something. Some books over here by the side. Looks like this is just a plank of wood stacked on some luggage for the table. I mean, you're in the jungle, the African jungle, you got to kind of make do with what you have. Over here, obviously, is where they cook their food. You can open up the furnace, the stove. This over here, require cards found. This is where you can cook. Put a potion in. You have to light it, so you got to hit it. Hit it with fire. Stove's been lit. And you get a high potion by cooking. So again, another neat little interaction in the world, which I've always really, really loved. Another interactive box here. Here's the drawing of Tarzan that Jane does. You may recognize it from the movie. And you can pretty much climb on just about everything here in the camp. Obviously, early on, you go looking for the slides, and slides are like found on top of some of these canopies. And anyways, so that's basically the camp. They're surrounded by jungle here, a large rock face that a lot of this greenery is probably growing off of. There's a lot of moss on it. The bamboo thickets over that way. Surrounded by bamboo. This is, in terms of where you can go in the jungle in this game, this is probably the safest place they could have made base camp. You know, the way the textures are, you're not sure if anything could actually move through the greenery. Obviously, you can't because of game limitations. But I'm talking like animals and stuff, because, you know, Sabor will just sort of jump out of nowhere. But it looks far too thick to travel through this greenery. Like, a lot of this could be growing out of a rock face, potentially. So, alright. To save a little bit of time, we're going to go this way first into the bamboo. And then I'll continue the tour this way. Now, as we go into the jungle, into the bamboo thicket and the rest of the jungle, there's really not a lot to show. It's mostly jungle. It's leaves, it's trees, it's bushes, it's grass, it's rocks. So, you know, there's really not a lot to show in many other parts of this world. But we're going to do the world tour regardless. Into the bamboo thicket. Okay. So this is the bamboo thicket. It's just a big opening in the middle of a bunch of bamboo. A bunch of bamboo. This rock is where the cutscene plays. You know, Donald and Goofy landed somewhere around here when the ship crashes in deep jungle. So that's where that cutscene takes place. It's just a lone rock here in the bamboo thicket. A lot of times you'll run into Sabor while playing the deep jungle level. Some shorter bamboo right here. I'm thinking Sabor probably jumps out of these shorter bamboo areas that seem slightly more three-dimensional than the rest of the bamboo. That's where I'm thinking he jumps out at. I've never confirmed this, but it seems like it would make the most sense. Some greenery and bushes and vines and stuff sort of lining the bottom of the bamboo thicket here. That's where we came from. It's what leads back to camp, back to base camp. A good look at the sky box is just blue sky, clouds. You can see some of the leaf textures up top. You can tell that they didn't take as much care with the textures that are up in areas that you just don't look at very much. Like, if it's very high or if it's an area you pass through super quickly, they don't seem to take as much care in the textures, which makes sense. Especially given the original PS2's graphical limitations, even though these are the HD remixes. That's really all there is to see here in the bamboo thicket. We're going to continue here into the cliff area. Here we are at the cliff area. This is where a lot of the gorillas gather after you had to go rescue them. And this is also where the Clayton boss fight takes place. You also fight, I think it's called the Stealth Sneak. Like a lot of the jungle, there's not much to see here. Obviously, the bamboo thicket's that way. You can tell by all the bamboo, obviously. A lot of greenery growing on the rocks here on the cliff. You can climb a lot of this area. I think treasure chests are found up in this area. Let me clear out these Heartless really quick. I thought I had got them all. Thanks, Donald. Didn't really need that for some green... what are they called? Green Requiems? I'm not sure. And there's more of them. This is probably one of the only world tours you'll see me doing some combat, just because I thought I had cleared all the Heartless out of the area first. But these are simple enough to deal with. Anyways, you can climb this face over here. Hopefully no more Heartless show up here. Yep, that little root, I guess it is, that's coming out of the cliff here. You will slide down once you step on it. Whee! But apparently only to the end. You do the same on this one. Yep, you slide down the roots. So yeah, not much to see around here. Got some tree overgrowth here, so there's a lot of coverage here. Actually looks like a really cool place to just hang out if I was just sort of exploring. It's the waterfall, the edge of the cliff. It's where Tarzan has that moment. You know, this is home. There's that moment here in the game. You can head back behind the waterfalls, takes you into another area. Random rock. Yeah, Kerchak, I think, is the one who tosses all of you guys up here onto this little cliff. Into this cave. We can go back behind the waterfall. Into the waterfall cavern. As you might expect, you're behind a waterfall. It's a tight area. The camera can get a little finicky in this area. There's There's just water everywhere. It's probably a really wet place to be. As you can see, the camera's really finicky here because it's such a tight space. You can shimmy across the wall here. There's a lot of green, like, moss growth on the cavern walls. A lot of chests are normally found in this area. You can, of course, come down here. I don't remember if a chest is normally over here or not. Possibly. Some little waterfall springs. Like I said, it's probably a really wet area. You can climb across these vines, or at least cling onto them. Of course, we don't need to because we can glide. Woo! This camera's messing with me. You can climb up this vine here. Now, you may think, oh, this world tour is going kind of backwards because this is a end-game area. Oh, well, end-world area, rather. Where, what are you doing? Donald, please. I think he just really likes the sound of the music. You don't really come to this part of Deep Jungle until you're about done with Deep Jungle after you defeat the boss. You defeat Clayton. You scale the rocks here in the cavern over here to this little tunnel. It's just got a bunch of bushes, a lot of moss and stuff growing on the rocks on the cliff. Cavern of Hearts. This is where Sora seals the keyhole. It's a white Trinity mark here. The keyhole appeared right here in that little open space on this tree where there's like a lot of vines. So that was where the keyhole to this world was. A big opening. These vines, I'm going to assume are supposed to be attached to that tree that's above, but, you know, the texture, the skybox makes it look a little funny. I'm not sure where this tree actually goes. You can see where, like, where the leaves of this tree that's coming up through the cavern, you can see where the trees, the branches branch off, and you can see where the leaves are supposed to be, but part of the leaves look like they're a part of the skybox, so it just looks kind of odd, like it's just got a bunch of naked branches sticking out. As with everywhere, it's just a lot of moss and vines, bushes everywhere. Again, you can find a white Trinity mark in here. Alright, so I'm going to take us back to base camp. We're going to jump back to base camp so that we can then branch off into the other part of Deep Jungle. This world has a lot of backtracking when you're actually playing it in the story. That's why a lot of people don't like the world. They find it too complicated to navigate. I love this world. I've never had a problem navigating it. There are other worlds I did have difficulties navigating. This was not one of them. I've always liked this world. So I'm going to take us back to base camp, and we'll continue the world tour there. Okay, as promised, back here at base camp, we're going to continue this way, which is on the opposite side of base camp from the bamboo thicket. Going to go into Hippo Lagoon, I think it's called. Yep, Hippo's Lagoon. Okay, so things get a little... This is where a lot of people start getting a little confused with the world. This leading up into the vines and so on. So obviously Hippo Lagoon, you have two directions you can go in. Most people, when they're playing through this world the first time, are going to go up this vine. Mainly because crossing Hippo Lagoon is difficult because of the platforming involved. And at that stage of the game, you don't have high jump, you don't have glide. You definitely don't have super glide. So it can be a little difficult. There's often treasure chests over here in Hippo Lagoon. Up on top of, like, these little tree things. I guess they're trees. They're growing out of the water and out of the land. But when you don't have high jump, the platforming can be very frustrating. See, even with high jump, I failed that jump there. The thing is, you know, people are like, oh, the platforming is bad. It's not bad. It's just unforgiving, if I'm being honest. The platforming is absolutely unforgiving in this game. You have to be right on the money, or you're not going to land the platforming. I don't have a problem with that. It can be frustrating, but I don't really have a problem with that. It adds a little layer to challenge, and obviously this game's a bit tougher than some of the other Kingdom Hearts games ended up being. Kingdom Hearts 2 is actually a very easy game when you're not playing on critical. Kingdom Hearts 3 is probably the easiest Kingdom Hearts game. So this game's definitely probably the harder on regular difficulty of those. Though Kingdom Hearts 2 definitely does have some of the harder boss fights compared to this game. Some of the organization members can be very tough to beat, but that's beside the point. Here in Hippo Lagoon... Here in Hippo Lagoon, you have a lot of tree coverage. Like I said, that vine over in that tree leads up into the vines area. That, this little piece of a tree, it's not really a vine, but this leads up into Vines 2, I think, where you... Vines 2 is basically the end of the Vines section, as you can see. Let's see if I jump back down. I'm right back in Hippo Lagoon. Some of these hippos will submerge themselves so that you can then stand on them. Of course, you have to wait for them to come back up. So early game, that helps a little bit with platforming from space to space. That one, I don't think, goes down at all, but you can jump on him. So if you want to cut through the vine sections, you can just, you know, go to the end of Hippo's Lagoon here, climb up that piece of tree or that vine, and skip the vines area pretty much altogether. More greenery, more jungle. I've always liked the design of this world. I've always liked the layout of this world because there are shortcuts here and there. Different parts of it lead to other parts of the world. There's more than one way to get to many sections and rooms of this world. Even though it is very clearly a jungle, it's also very clearly divided into rooms, as you can see here. This is a room, you know, which of course that's just sort of a game term, but because of how, obviously, like, there's no illusion that you could go exploring, right? Regardless if there was invisible walls blocking you or not, there's not even the illusion of openness. It's a room. This looks like a solid wall. It's supposed to be just, you know, brush and bushes and vines and overgrowth that is just so thick you can't pass through. But obviously, you know, a lot of games that didn't have the technical limitations of this game at the time would make it look like the jungle just goes deeper in, you know, that way and straight ahead, when in reality it doesn't. You'd be blocked by an invisible wall. This is a room. You're blocked by these walls of growth, of leafy growth. There's also some fruits here on these trees. I think those are the same fruits you pick up on the slider minigame, which I will be showing you pretty much at the end of this tour. But if we climb up this vine, which most people will do, what's he say when you examine it? The ivy looks climbable. Climb up this, you go into the vines area. And here are the vines. This is where a lot of people go. There's a save point right here, though it is not a save point that you can go back to the gummy ship through. That's something to keep in mind. That leads back down to Hippo Lagoon, or you can just jump down. You can open up this little flower here to try the vine swinging minigame, which we are not going to do right now. We have no interest in doing that. As you can see, the vines area, it looks like it just goes on forever. Like, you're really high up in the trees at this point. It's a lot, and like, these are very high trees. You can even see the bottoms of them. But this is interesting. The camera keeps pulling me back up. You can sort of see the edges of the world. The edges of the room there. Like I've said several times, this game obviously had technical limitations with the PS, you know, being such an old game and all. But it just looks like this area goes on forever. The mist, the fog, the density, and the size, the sheer size of these trees, they are enormous. A lot of people have trouble swinging on the vines. I've never had a lot of trouble with them. I do mess up from time to time. I think some treasure chests can sometimes be found over here. Not sure. I know chests are found in different parts of it, but I've not played in a while, so it's a little red flower. More massive trees. There's a chest right there that was never... I wonder why that chest was never gotten. That's odd. Alright, we're going to jump on here. Obviously, only jump when it says to jump next. Don't jump too early or you'll fall back into Hippo Lagoon. There's a purple flower over here. Why is this chest here? I'm surprised this chest was never acquired by whoever saved this was. It obviously you can't go over to those areas. It looks like you can, but you can't. So keep swinging on the vines. Jump next. Jump next. And jump next and jump off. And there's another set of vines right there. It takes you over to that part. A little green flower right here, another purple flower over here, some more vines hanging from the trees. Again, don't try to jump down to that platform. It's not a platform. You will plummet into Hippo Lagoon. Little bush or a little fern, whatever it's called. Jump on this set of vines. There's a little blue flower right here. And this takes you into Vines 2. I think this is where the cutscene with Kerchak plays. Actually, no, it may be at the end of Vines 2. So, that's where you just came from, back there behind you. Jump straight onto the vine, jump next, jump off. You'll probably automatically catch that vine. Another red flower. Head over this way. I think normally a treasure chest is found right here. Probably holding some Dalmatian puppies. Jump onto this vine, grab that one, next, 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 and jump off. And you're at the end of the vine section. See this pole here? This takes you back down to Hippo Lagoon. If you cross Hippo Lagoon and you climb the pole that's at the end of it, this is where you'll end up. The end of Vines 2. Next to this little green flower and this purple flower. Climb up the ivy. And this will take you into the climbing trees. This is where you fight that big fruit thing that shows up. Not sure if any Heartless spawn here. It doesn't look like it. This, the flower is wilted. Really nothing to see here. This area always looks kind of dead and dry, but wet at the same time because, you know, there's moisture in the air, there's fog, there's mist. But I think it has to do with the textures of, like, the vines and stuff that are around. Like, I doubt any jungle actually looks like this. You know, we're really high in trees now. Like, what even is this supposed to be? The very top of a tree? But then what is all this surrounding it? It just looks like a mess, if I'm being honest. But, yeah, this is where Jane and Turk are brought once they're abducted and captured. There's really nothing to see here. Vines wrapping around everything in here. Very, very dense forest. That way over there takes you to a treetop. We're going to explore that in just a moment. Now to the treehouse, which is one of the more interesting parts of the world. So I'm going to clear out the Heartless, and we'll begin the tour of the treehouse. Okay, here we are at the treehouse. This is where Sora begins his journey through deep jungle, and where he meets Tarzan, and unfortunately also where he meets Sabor. Now, if we start down here, which comes from the climbing trees into the treehouse, obviously we have this little net meshing. It is absolutely astounding to me and mind-boggling, honestly, how this treehouse could have possibly been built by just Tarzan's parents. I can't fathom it. I really just don't understand it. Have you ever heard the theory that, like, Tarzan was related in some way to, like, Elsa and Anna? It's both stupid and really interesting at the same time. Anyways, I digress. You have this meshing. Obviously, you may recognize this part of the treehouse from the movie, from the Tarzan movie, when Sabor is trying to get at baby Tarzan. Really not much to see down here. You're really high up. The treehouse is as high as it gets out here in deep jungle. But more of that in a moment, because this is not actually the highest point, as I'm sure you are aware. Let's continue climbing up. Looks like there's a rope here. Maybe there was like a bucket of water at the end of the rope. Maybe they get water. It'd be really interesting if it dropped directly into a water source. Way, because we saw how tall these trees actually are. These trees that we are now towering above, we saw how unbelievably massive they were. Like, and this still ain't the highest point, like, that there is. I mean, that's a mountain right there. That's a freaking mountain. That's unbelievable, because these trees are incredibly freaking tall. And they have a rope long enough. I guess that's a rope long enough to reach all the way down. Maybe there's a bucket of water attached to it. Here's the treehouse. Again, I just don't see how two people built all this on top of this tree, lugged all the wood up here. It's unfathomable to me. Can you walk on these? You can walk on these tree branches that sprout out from the treehouse. They're covered in moss. There's cracked windows, broken windows all around the treehouse here. Obviously, his parents had died not very long before baby Tarzan was discovered. You can jump into the treehouse through here. Those are like light shafts coming through that you see right there with, like, you know how light will bounce off of dust and stuff and moisture in the air, and it creates little light shafts. That's what that is. More broken windows. This little deck wraps around. This interactable barrel right here. Lift it up. Throw it off. Didn't make it to where I wanted. That little boat normally has a treasure chest in it. You're only going to really be able to glide out to it. You're not going to be able to make that jump. So only ever really come out here once you have glide. And then you can get the chest that is in this boat. See, like, how in the world did two people manage to raise this huge pillar of wood and get this boat anchored up onto it? And where are they lowering this boat? How are they going to lower it into anything? Look at how thick the trees are below it. I don't see... Where are they lowering it to? I just don't get it. I don't understand. You can go to the end here, but there's nothing down here, so if you go off the side, it's just more net meshing. You can jump on that platform there, but we're going to come around there in a moment anyways. You'll often find Heartless in here. This is where Sora meets Tarzan for the first time. This is where, in the movie, Tarzan is discovered, taken in by the gorillas. This looks like some thatch walling, like some straw or something. I'm guessing that would be a picture of maybe some family. Maybe his mother and his father, though you can't really tell because of the textures in this game. That is clipping through the thatch. That's kind of funny. Some vines and overgrowth. Like, nature wasted no time in taking over this treehouse. Though, then again, Tarzan is much older now, so nature has spent a fair bit of time doing its thing here. Some crate. Maybe they kept food in there. Maybe they had rations and food on their boat that got shipwrecked here. I like how they made some little shelves here that they sort of nailed into this. I guess this is part of the tree. It's got like grass and stuff growing on it. They got grass growing in this drawer. I don't know how that happens. There's a book. Looks like someone was in the middle of reading something. A bottle, not sure, might have been liquor. Maybe they filled it with water, but they might have had liquor on the ship. Clock telling, yet again, another different time than the other clocks, but this clock is almost definitely not working. At least they saved their books. You know, knowledge was clearly important to Tarzan's family. Yeah, that's got to be a portrait of, like, his family, I would assume. You know, but it looks like they're holding a large child, so that couldn't be Tarzan. No way that's Tarzan. Really unsure. Some drawers, more luggage. I mean, they really just... the place looks like a wreck, but when you take into consideration that two people built this, it's astonishing. It really is. Not sure where they slept. This right here is a bunch of debris from a hole that's in the roof. A random bottle mixed in right there. Some ropes with just some raggedy cloth hanging on it. More drawers, luggage, barrels, crates. Another open book over here, some more bookshelves. And another bottle, another open book on the bookshelf. There's a red book right there. Barrel. For an old game, these lighting effects add a lot to the atmosphere. So, you know, for an old game, these are pretty cool lighting effects. You can jump up here. It's kind of hard to get up here with a regular jump, so you're really going to want high jump. That ladder will take you higher up. You can come out on this back deck here. There's the pathway that led us up to the treehouse, so we're right above that. Another crate with some planks. Is there anything around this way? Don't remember. Yeah, little platform. You can jump onto it, but there's not much to see here. We'll make our way around the treehouse. At least they were smart enough to put a railing here, but they weren't smart enough to put a railing anywhere else. I'm gonna guess that it broke here. That, you know, nature just took it back and it just sort of had a plank here that broke off, I'm gonna guess. Or just a section. See, look, they even have some steel wrapped around some of these pillars. It has to, you know, obviously it's parts of the ship. But it's like, for some reason, this feels like far, far, far more wood than just the ship would have had. But very clearly parts of the ship that they somehow lugged all the way up through those massive trees. I have no idea how they got it up here. But somehow 2 people did this. It's a boarded up window. Very big window. There's the boat. And you can jump around to this platform. You can jump right here. There's the inside of the treehouse again. A little stool and just a bunch of spare wood. Move Tarzan, please. Climb up this very tall ladder. It's a very tall ladder. This will take you to the highest point that you can reach in this world, which is the very tippy top of the treehouse. There's the hole I was speaking of, down below where the debris is. Another part of the ship that shipwrecked here in Africa. You can glide over here. Below is that boat that I landed in. Now I'm going to glide back over. You can't make it back up there, but you can glide over here to the ladder. Going to have to climb this ladder again. Looks like they used some thatch, some thatched roofing, some straw, maybe. Some rope around a lot of the beams and stuff. Some rope around this plank. I mean, the texture looks like rope. It's not 3D, it's 2D on the texture, but it looks like it's supposed to be rope. It's just amazing to me. 2 people did this. You can't jump on top of that, don't try. It looks like it might have meant to be a weather vane, but it doesn't spin. It's just sort of locked in place. Or maybe they... Oh, it does spin. It does move. The wind knocked it around a little bit, so it is kind of like a weather vane. I'm guessing they probably figured out where north and south is, where north, south, east, and west are, and they sort of marked their reference there with those planks. Just so they would know. Even though, with the way this is built, I don't see anywhere they could go and really have a good view of the weather vane to actually make any use of it. To know, like, what direction the wind might be spinning. Or might be blowing. See, this isn't even the top of the tree. The tree goes even higher. Obviously, you can't go up there. Massive, massive mountain off in the distance. That's huge, considering how tall we've seen that these trees are. I mean, these trees are above the clouds. This is insane. Like I said, it's set on an Earth that's much like ours, but obviously these trees are, you know, otherworldly, because they are massive. Unbelievably huge. But that is really all there is to see here at the treehouse. Now, what we can do is we can jump clean off the... we can stand on this. So this is the highest point you can personally reach in Deep Jungle. And yes, you can jump off and fall way down into the trees, which obviously is what you will do when you start. And it brings you to this little section, part of the climbing trees, where there's a save point. That will take you to the jungle slide minigame. But as I said earlier, the treetop section is right through here. This connects that area that we just came from to the climbing trees. And this is all it is. I think there's a green Trinity mark normally found in here. I don't know why. I've always liked this tiny little room. It serves absolutely no purpose. They could have connected the climbing trees in the area we just came to through one doorway. But they decided to add this completely useless little room. No Heartless ever spawn in here. The story doesn't take you through here. This is a completely useless room. But I've always liked it. It's a little circular room. You're like, I guess on top of a tree, perhaps, with more trees growing up around you. It's just a this whole room is just a vibe. I really dig it. I like, you know, the fog, the mist that's in the air. See, if you go through here, it takes you back out to the climbing trees, and there you are at the climbing trees. That doorway over there takes you back to the treehouse. So let's go back through here. And we're going to end our world tour with the last visitable parts of this world, which is the slider, the jungle slider minigame. There are 5 tracks. You have to collect fruit. I think it's 10 fruit in each section of the track to unlock the next section. You can't miss any fruit. So, like, the first section, you have to get 10 fruit. Next section, you have to get another 10, adding up to 20 total. And then another 10, adding up to 30. If you miss any fruit, you won't unlock the next path. I'm not going to worry about collecting fruit, because I've already done that to unlock all the paths to show you. And we're going to not worry about time getting through the minigame. You will have done the first part of the map with Tarzan early in the game, because you have to get to the camp. Well, I don't know if you really have to, but that's definitely, you know, sort of what happens. Anyways, you're going to see that once you collect the fruit, other openings sort of are created. So let's jump in. There's not much to see here. This is a section of the game that where you pass by everything really quickly, so they didn't take as much care with the textures. You're probably very familiar with this part, so we're not gonna slow roll through here. It's just a lot of trees. You see a cliff face over there. You know, it'll wrap around. We'll go down through that area eventually. You can jump, dodge branches. You can smack branches to try and cut through them. The game is going to want to fight you. This is the path you get if you unlock, or if you get all the fruit. You get this path that goes into a cave. The game is going to fight you when you try to change directions. Just stay true and you'll go the direction you're trying to tilt. But the game is going to fight you, just know that. Nothing to see here in the caverns. It's just a lot of rocks and water sprouting through the rock walls. If you hit these little rocks, you will take some small damage. It's not going to be enough to kill you. Nowhere near enough. I'll even show. See, you take very little damage. Big open room. We're going to slow down just so we can take it in. Get these fruit. Get this one. Bust that one. And then, you know, you'll have to fight it, but you can come over there and grab that piece of fruit. Like I said, I'm not trying to grab all of it. I'm just sort of giving you an idea. Alright. So if you go straight ahead, you'll exit the game. But we're going to go this way. We're going to go to the left, because this takes us to the next part of the track. We can speed up here. I don't know why Tarzan comes with you every time. He doesn't actually serve any purpose in the minigame. So we're back out in the open, sliding through the trees. Somebody cue some Phil Collins music. He didn't have to go as hard as he did on the Tarzan soundtrack, but he did that for us. It's, you just wrap around a really massive tree here. Try to pull back on the stick. Don't worry about your time. Get the fruit when you do this game. Fight the direction. Go this way for the rest of the track. You go into the bushes. And into another part of track. You know, don't worry about the time. You know, when you're actually playing and you care about gathering the fruits, gather the fruits. Don't miss that one, like over jump it. You can pull back on the stick and you'll slow down phenomenally. Push forward, you go a little bit faster. So if you want to slow down, take your time, just pull back. All right, you're going to want to keep going left here to hit the last part of the track. That'll dump you out in the waterfall cavern, or you can do the water cavern track over here, which is the final piece, I do believe. And see, now we're back on the other side of the world. It's actually, if you do the whole track, it's actually a really fast, easy way to get to the other side of the world. A lot of waterfalls. And then you're done. You've reached the end of the track. Obviously, we didn't get all the fruit. and it dumps you out here in the waterfall cavern. Now, keep in mind, like I said, to unlock all the tracks, you have to get all the fruit. But you can't get all the fruit and then just proceed to the next track. You're going to have to restart the minigame every single time you unlock or get all the fruit. So the first time you get all 10 fruit, the way to the next track's not going to just open. You have to go dump out in the camp, go back around, do the minigame again, then the next track will be open. So every time you get the 10 fruit you need for the next track, start it over, then you can proceed to the track that follows. I don't know why they did it like that. It's a little frustrating, but that's what they did. Anyways, that is the entire Deep Jungle world. I mean, if you were a little bored, I don't know what you were expecting. It's a jungle. There's a lot of leaves, there's a lot of trees, there's a lot of bushes, there's a lot of rocks. So, not a whole lot to show other than in the treehouse and in the camp. But I hope you did enjoy the video. If these types of videos like the world tours are fun or interesting to you, because I'm always finding stuff in these world tours that I didn't even know about, so I'm learning new things all the time. But if you like these types of videos, you know, slap the like button. It really helps out a lot. Leave a comment. Let me know that you like these types of videos. You want to see more of them. I'd love to eventually one day do a world tour of every single Kingdom Hearts world. I think that would be a lot of fun. But that was the Deep Jungle video, so smash that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more of my content. I don't post super consistently, but I haven't given up on YouTube, so I do enjoy doing these things. And of course, share the video. Let's get it out there. And I guess I'll catch you guys in the next video.